Welcome back to Sacred Space here on CJUM 101.5 out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. And we're sitting here talking to Albert Taylor, the author of the LA Times #1 bestseller, Soul Traveler.
And this is another thing. This was something really interesting. Instead of being brought through the roof like before, I was dropped off in the middle of a street somewhere in front of an apartment building.
There wasn't the rushing? Before, where you were going out?
No, I was flying and being drawn to a location. Except I landed in the street in front of an apartment building instead of coming into the roof into a house, interior of an apartment or a house type of thing, like before. And the reason I'm telling you this is because when I was dropped off in front of the apartment building in the street, I couldn't remember where I was going. So, you know, the brain, the organic brain, has a heck of a lot to do with our memories. I didn't have an organic brain with me in this experience.
Okay.
So remembering where I was going, unless it was extremely important, is not important to you in that state of consciousness.
Yeah, it wasn't the now.
No, it's trivial.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of concentration on my part to try to remember what I was trying to do. And then I finally remembered. Oh, yeah, I want to see my friend. And when I said that, I felt the hands take me up into this apartment to the second floor, through the wall of the side of the apartment building. And now I'm in a dining room. And I thought, okay. And I looked around, and one of the things I noticed is that in the dining room, there's this huge chandelier. I mean, it was really big. It was too big for the dining room, really. And I thought, okay, this is a good thing to remember. And then another thing is I noticed is that you can walk, you can float, you can slide. It depends on what you focus on.
Whatever you want to do.
Whatever you want to do. So I walked down, or kind of walked down the hallway. And down the hallway were doors. All of them were closed except for the last door on the right at the very end. So I moved down to the last door at the end, and I went into that bedroom. And in the bedroom, I was looking around. There was one bed in there, and there was one window. And the window, normally if you walk into a room, like I'm in my office now, and I look at my window, my window is centered in the center of the wall, meaning there's equal space on either side of the window. This was peculiar because the window was in the corner of the room, and there's a huge space on just one side of the window. So I thought, okay, that's an interesting, because that's a little odd.
Another thing to note.
That's an interesting thing to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked out the window, and one of the things I noticed is that there was a telephone pole blocking part of the window. And I thought, okay, that's another interesting thing to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked out the window, and I could see an alleyway with trash cans below, like aluminum, metal trash cans.
Right.
And across the alleyway was an apartment building, the back of apartment building.
Okay.
I thought, okay, that's another good thing to remember. And then I thought, okay, and it seemed like this went on for a long period of time, but really there is no time in that experience. At least you can't relate it to physical time.
Doesn't exist.
Because it could seem like an hour, and you come back and it's only like 10 minutes.
Right. The man-made time doesn't exist there.
Right, exactly. And that's another thing I thought when I started realizing that my time here had nothing to do with what I felt there, So, but I felt like I was there a long time. And I thought, okay, that's enough. I want to go back. And but this time I didn't feel the rapid acceleration. I thought, okay, I want to fly back. And I actually pushed myself out the window, and I began to control. At least I thought I was controlling by myself. I didn't feel the hand. I was flying above the alleyway, looking around. And this was really funny because I didn't know where I was, and I was thinking, how do I navigate back?
How do I get back? Yeah.
So I thought, okay, and I started floating. Now I felt like I was flying maybe about 20 feet above the alley, okay, second story kind of thing. I came up to the alley where the alley met a street, and there was a street sign there at the alley, at the street. And I floated up to the street sign, and I looked at the letters on the street sign, and I couldn't read them. They looked like hieroglyphics almost. I mean, they were letters, but they didn't make any sense to me, which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I can't read.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned in my book, I joke about it, I say I had astral dyslexia.
Yeah.
But that's a very important key, because I don't have the organic, English-oriented brain to analyze the symbols with. I can see the symbols, but they don't make any sense to the soul,
Right.
or to that you into that state.
Right.
It's irrelevant.
Yes.
So that was interesting. I thought, okay, I can't read the sign. That's interesting. So I thought, okay, how did I get back before? I just said, I want to go back, take me back, whatever, and that's what I focused on. And then that's when I experienced the rapid acceleration again, the hands grabbing me, and then boom, slammed back into my body again. I sat up, vibrating like crazy again, another repeat experience, grabbed my journal, and wrote all of this down, spent most of the night writing this down. Now, I wrote all this down, and I have to go to work in the morning, too, now. I'm up till 4 o'clock in the morning. I got to get up in an hour and a half or so and drive in and do analysis on what if a micrometeorite penetrated the space station. What would the astronauts do in the event of an emergency like that?
Holy. One extreme to the other.
Yeah,
Holy.
so that's what I had to do. So this was like this, but it was so interesting, this experiment. I went through this. This is what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Odd, but interesting. So I came back, I documented all of this, and of course, when I went into work, I approached my friend, and I said, I had a real interesting experience, and I want to talk to you about this and see if I can verify some of this stuff. And first thing I said was, first of all, you live in an apartment, because I didn't know that much. She said, yes. I said, at least I went to an apartment. I didn't see her, but this was the location I went to, in this apartment. She said, yes. I said, you live upstairs? She said, yes. I thought, okay. I said, I came into a dining room, and I noticed that there was a huge chandelier, almost touched each wall in the dining room, and it was really too big for the dining room. And she said, I bought a chandelier at the swap meet, and I bought it because I'm going to buy a house, and it's so beautiful. I put it up in the dining room, but I knew it was too big for that dining room, but I put it up anyway. Okay, interesting coincidence. I said, there's a hallway leading to a hallway of doors, and at the end of the hallway, I went into a bedroom, and I noticed that when I went into the bedroom, it had one bed in there. She said, yes. And I said, and the window was in an odd location. Now, I'm feeding her, and I'm kind of, she's just verifying, and none of this means anything except she's saying yes, yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm leading her, so that doesn't mean anything to me, exactly, as far as verifying anything. What means something to me is when I said the window was in an odd location. She said, that is strange. She said, I don't know why they put the window over there, because when you look out the window, you can't see out. There's half of it's blocked by a telephone pole.
Oh, jeez.
I hadn't mentioned that. Now, the thing about this is, all of this I'd written down. Yeah. So it wasn't like I would even doubt my own memory if I hadn't written it down.
Yeah,
I would say, oh, maybe I think I remember that. But I wrote it down in detail. And I thought she mentioned the telephone pole, which that's odd if I wasn't there, And I said, well, what's out that window? And she said, there's an alleyway, and that's where I go down. Below there is where my trash cans are. And I thought, oh my God!
Right down to the trash cans.
Yeah, I thought, oh my God! I said, I looked out that window and I saw the telephone pole, and I said, across the alleyway, I saw an apartment building. She said, yeah, there's apartments on the other side, and you can go either way down the alleyway, to the street. And I thought, oh, my God. Now, so I verified this with her, and there's some other things that I verified with her. But now I'm coming back. I go back home that evening, and I'm sitting there going through my written documentation and analyzing this. Now, I have to say, this is the questions I started asking myself. How could I know this? I'm not saying I traveled out of body. How could I write this down and know this? I don't believe that I'm psychic. at all.
Okay.
I don't think it wasn't like a premonition. It
Right.
wasn't a vision. I felt like I was there, and it happened with the doctor. And this is intentionally. It happened with the doctor, and it happened with my friend. And then I'm starting to think, now, and this is all leading up from something that is very um, organized, like night paralysis, a process. It's not random. So I'm thinking, I'm starting to think, well, wait a minute. Does the soul really exist? Is there a consciousness beyond the body that these near-death experiences are talking about? Is that the thing I'm using to do this? Because
Hmm.
it's real now. Because I have verification from. I shouldn't know this. Otherwise, I can't explain how come I know this. They should not. I should not have been able to write down where this woman and the details of these two places. It
Yeah.
shouldn't happen. It's not logical to me. So I'm thinking, what is it that I'm using to travel there? Is it because I feel as if I'm in a body of some sort. It
Hmm.
doesn't feel like I'm just floating a wisp of air.
Right, like you're housed in something.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that, or like, I'm just, it's not like remote viewing. What is it that I'm using that I can get there and do these things? That's when I started, one of the things is I read like I drink water, like I just
Hmm.
read constantly. So I'm looking for information on this, and I'm going back to old texts and things like that, and because I wanted to find, I didn't know about New Age and all that stuff, so I'm looking at I even looked in the Bible, and I'm looking everywhere for information that would talk about night paralysis, buzzing, locations, things grabbing you. I'm
Hmm.
trying to find somebody had written about this somewhere,
Some
right? At
link,
least I'm
yeah.
thinking that. So one night, I rented Shirley MacLaine's Out on a Limb, and just for entertainment now. And she has this out of body experience in it, and it's flying up into the air, and did it through relaxation. And one of the things I noticed is when she came out of her body, everything around her was glowing. I thought, that happens to me. That's what I wrote down.
There's
And then
somebody
and then
else.
I go back to the doctor saying I was having out of body experience, and then the Shirley MacLaine thing, and I thought, oh my God, is that what's really happening? Wow,
Wow.
And then I'm thinking, what is that? Is it the soul? What
Hmm.
is that? The reason I thought soul is because these people who died said that they went through the tunnel, and they were, and I think, what is that goes through the tunnel
Hmm.
and goes there, and comes back, and especially in Daniel Brinkley's, what is that? He was, he woke up in the morgue. What is that leaves the physical body? So now I want to know, what's that thing? What am I riding in? What am I driving? What is it? It's not a physical body. What is it? So the next time I experimented, I came out of the body, and the first thing I did was, I'm going to look at what I'm in. So I put my hands up in front of my face to look at my hand. And I was amazed at what I saw.
What'd you see?
I saw it was humanoid shaped hand. It wasn't skin kind of, it was transparent, kind of like saran wrap shaped in the form of a hand. There was
Oh.
a lot of lights moving through it.
Ah, I'm thinking of a TV series that's been on TV called The Translucent.
Oh, oh, I
Uh,
used to watch that a lot.
I
Gene
can't.
Roddenberry's thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Final.
Final Conflict.
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
That's what it looked like. It
Wow.
looked like that. That's great
Wow.
because I hadn't thought about that. That's what it looked like. So I'm moving my fingers of this thing. It's me because I can control it. I can move the fingers individually. But the thing is, it's not the size of my hand. It's a little bigger because of the glow. It's hard. You couldn't say it was the exact size of my hand. The image was bigger, but it wasn't like I had a big hand. It was more like, a light. Light is not focused and hard edged. Light kind of glows, so that's how it looked.
Like a jellyfish.
Yeah, it was a glowing kind of thing, but yet humanoid. Definitely 4 fingers and a thumb, and two of them, and I could touch things with it. So I thought, okay, I touched the blankets on my bed. Now I'm rubbing them, but the thing is that
You
I
didn't.
could feel every thread in the fiber.
So you didn't go through it.
Well, hold on. You're jumping ahead of me. You're jumping ahead.